Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. This is the Annual Information Security Summit 2025, brought to you by Data Security Council of India. Round of applause, please. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you. So good morning, and thank you for joining us what promises to be a very insightful session on mastering AI powerful threats in 2026. As artificial intelligence continues to evolve at an unprecedented pace, so do the threats that leverage this very technology. Today, we'll explore new dimensions of how organizations at large can stay ahead of these emerging challenges. We have an exceptional lineup of speakers from the entire team here at SentinelOne who will share their expertise and insights with us this morning. Let me introduce you to our distinguished panel. Firstly, joining us is Vice President of Strategic Product Marketing at SentinelOne, Adam Hall. May I please call upon you on stage if you can? Yeah, Adam Hall. Adam brings deep expertise in positioning cutting-edge cybersecurity solutions in an AI-driven landscape. Please welcome him once again, Adam Hall. Thank you so much. We have next up Mr. Arvind Vasudevan, AVP of Field and Channel Marketing for the APJ region. Arvind plays a pivotal role in driving SentinelOne marketing strategy across Asia Pacific, Japan. Welcome, Arvind. And finally, we have Mr. Shankar Sareen, Director of Field and Channel Marketing for India. Shankar is instrumental in building strong partnerships and driving cybersecurity awareness right across the entire breadth of Indian market. Shankar, all over to you.
Can you use your mic? Absolutely, please go ahead. Thank you so much. So, DSCI AISS Masterclass is something that's very dear to me. I think I've been a regular here. We do a masterclass. We've received some real good feedback. So the bar is always high for me. And we always try and make it, we take your feedback very seriously. And we always try and do something which is meaningful, which is simply not a check in the box. So I think, and this time we only have 75 minutes. So I'll keep it very simple. How we've structured the next 75 minutes is we would start with Adam. He has a very interesting presentation on navigating the AI inflection point. Please, if you have any questions, I would say let's make it interactive. Raise your hand. There are volunteers here. They have mics with them. We can actually stop Adam, answer your query, move on. The other option is, after the first 30 minutes, when Adam kind of is through with his first bit, we can ask the questions then. So please, the only request is make it as interactive as possible. We've spent time to put the content together. The content is very timely, very topical, very interesting. After that, the next 10 minutes, we have a very interesting Kahoot quiz. So it's a Kahoot poll. The idea is to actually, I would run the Kahoot. We would request all of you to use your cell phones, log into kahoot.it. There will be a pin that I'll generate. And the idea is to get a pulse of the room, to check with all of you where you are in your SOC maturity. Again, be true to yourself. Obviously, it's not a quiz, it's a poll. So the idea is to see where, this entire room at least is. Post that, we'll do a wrap up with Adam, just giving a, basis the poll survey that we get. He'll be able to analyze where we are or where you are in your journey and how do you move to the next level. And then we've just got a closing remarks by our country manager. So without further ado, Adam, are you all set? Perfect. Guys, can we just have a big round of applause for Adam? Quick mic check.
Is the mic checking? Oh, there we go. All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here with us for this session. This is a fun one. I think we've all seen AI come into our lives in the last year or so, 18 months. I'm pretty sure all of you are using the tools one way or another. And this opens up both a huge opportunity for us all as humans and in a workplace to do fun stuff and to use it to get our work done better, but it also opens up a security potential threat of threat actors using AI in one way or another. And so, as Shankar said, the first section, I'm going to set up the problem space, what we're seeing in the real world in terms of what threat actors are doing with AI, and also what they're not doing with AI, which is also both interesting. We'll do the Kahoot poll, and then when I come back, the first section is going to be a little scary in terms of, oh no, everything's going bad, it's going to be really tough. We've got some solutions of how we can approach this in the world moving forward as well. So please, as Shankar said, if there's questions and stuff, we can answer them on the way through. I can talk to you afterwards or whatever. So without further ado, there's 3 sections to this. I want to talk in this first section around the threat landscape itself. We'll break for the workshop and come back, and then we'll talk about how we're going to reimagine how we do security in this world where we're using AI for good, but threat actors are using AI potentially for bad. So the threat landscape, let's start here. Let's split this into 2 different categories. There's the outside world where we see AI-driven attacks on the rise. They happen very fast. One of the benefits of AI is it lets you do things faster. It also lets the bad threat actors do things faster too. And so all of the goodness that we get with AI can also be used against itself as well. And so, staying ahead of that, if you work in a SOC, if you work in security, we're already got too many problems, too much data, too much signal, too many bad things going on. It's hard enough as it is right now for us to actually cope with the sheer overwhelming volume of data, overwhelming volume of information to try and find where the threats really are. And AI just says, cool, let's 10x that and make it faster and even more volume. And so that's what it looks like from the outside. There's also the challenge on the inside of the company where, as a security team or an IT team, you want your users to be able to use AI safely, but how do you know what that looks like? If you're using ChatGPT, if you're using Gemini, if you're using Cloud, if you're using Grok or any of those tools, how do you know that the people that work for your company are doing it safely and securely? One of the biggest threats that we have with AI is data leakage. And so you go to ChatGPT or your favorite tool, Gemini, whatever it might be, and you want to ask it some questions. Cool. How much information are you giving away simply by asking questions? You can upload documents. You can paste information. What if there's bad information in there? What if there's sensitive PII information in there? What did you give the machine in order to get a response back? How do you safely and securely say to all of you in the room who want to just get your job done, yes, you can use the tools, but we've also got to keep it safe and secure and make sure that we don't do dumb things and allow the threat actors to use those tools against us. So I'm going to go through each of these kind of areas. Let's start on the outside. Why would a threat actor want to use the AI tooling? Well, it's quite simple. They are profit-driven. They are incredibly well-funded, and even if they're not nation-state level, they are very well-funded. They're really not here to just be a pain in our backside and make life annoying for us. They're trying to generate revenue. They're trying to get money. Why do they want the information? So they can sell it. Why do they want to get access to resources? So they can use the compute resources and put it on your bill. They want to disrupt the information flow. Look at things like the Russia-Ukraine situation, for example. There is an information war going on as a part of that, as well as a physical war that's going on. And so if you can seed that information out there, if you can put fake information out there, if you can change the narrative in the market, you can shift things your way or towards the direction you want them. They want influence. They want to be able to control these things. The person that controls the information has an incredible amount of leverage out there in the market, being able to sway how decisions might be made. That again leads to influence and impact, but also revenue as well. And then access. Threat actors want to gain access to environments for 2 main reasons. Well, actually 3. First one is they want the information. They want to steal the data. They want to be able to sell that data. They want to be able to taint that data and use it against you. They want to steal your resources. Things like container attacks that happen on cloud, whether it's on GCP, whether it's on AWS, whether it's on Azure. One of the most common uses by a threat actor of stealing resources is to put crypto miners inside containerized environments. It's really easy when you've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of containers running in a large organization. Who's going to notice a couple more running a crypto miner while it's there? You're not going to notice that on your bill. It just turns up. We're also seeing threat actors trying to steal keys to use the LLM infrastructure. Now, those are expensive. A couple of really prominent examples that we have of that where it was actually the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, who detected the threat. Why? Because a really big number turned up on their bill one day, and the CFO went to basically the security team and said, why do I have a $160,000 US charge on this bill that's not normally there? It was the CFO that noticed that they'd been breached, and the threat actors were running the LLM models, which are very expensive, against itself. And so having access to all of that is ultimately what we're seeing there. We also see threat actors trying to jailbreak the LLMs themselves. And so if you've used ChatGPT, if you've used Gemini, any of the LLM tools, they all have boundaries to them to stop you doing things that they don't want you to do. They do have rules around them about what you can use. Now, if you can jailbreak them, you can get them to do things that they normally would not allow you to do. And so they're able to use that LLM infrastructure, able to use that AI tooling against itself, or to generate information or do things that it not normally would want to do. And so if you want to be able to do these things, and there's some examples down the bottom there of where the threat actors have managed to jailbreak the LLM, and it allows them to use those tooling and to use that capacity for the things that they're trying to achieve as a threat actor, whether that's tainting information, whether that's generating information, whether that is changing the narrative, whether that is stealing resources. We also see this fascinating example from North Korea, and I'm not sure if any of you have seen this one in the news, but basically they've managed to get real jobs using AI-generated personas. So these are people, these are not people, they're actually AI avatars, and so it's completely fake. It is basically a bunch of real humans have generated all of these personas. The personas apply for real jobs. They're usually IT jobs that can be done remotely. They're things that require people to be able to run scripts and deploy tooling and so on. And so as you can see up there, basically they've used the AI tooling to do interviews, to generate all of the social media to back up that someone's real, to be able to test, to pass a test, or like a background check, to say, yes, this is a real human. They've got a LinkedIn profile. They essentially, for the real world, look like a real person. They look like any of us. They've got a home address, they've got a work address, they've got a LinkedIn profile, they've worked a bunch of places, they've got social media presences, all of these things. None of it is real. It is basically North Korea running these things in order to get a job, a real job, get paid to do that job. They take that money to invest in the infrastructure that they want to do to run the rest of their programs. It's a fascinating use of AI, using both video techniques, using the at-scale deployment of all these profiles and these fake humans who are actually getting paid to do real jobs. It's kind of fascinating. And so there's this whole industry spun up to try and detect, is the person I'm hiring actually a real human? And so in the post-COVID world, where we're all working remotely and we're all working from home and loving that, and it gives us lots of benefits and so on, this is a real problem where hiring a human, are you actually hiring a human? It's a fun one. There's also this being able to bypass those rules. I talked about LLMs having lots of different boundaries and so on. So a simple prompt, you go to any of the engines and say, hey, write me a new ransomware tool. Turns out they won't let you do that. Like, you literally cannot generate a new version of a ransomware tool or any kind of nefarious tool by just going to an AI tool and say, write it for me. What you can do, and what we've seen people do, is to break that down into pieces, go and build a piece of that in each engine. So for example, this is a real example that we've seen done, is the threat actor went to each of Copilot, ChatGPT, and Gemini and built a piece of the malware in each one and then brought it back. So let's break ransomware down into 3 really basic things that ransomware does. First thing, write a script that can encrypt and decrypt files. Sounds like the first piece of ransomware, right? Encrypt all of the files so you can't get it. Cool. There's a piece of code that I've got. Piece number 1. Piece number 2, now go find all the files that I want to encrypt. Cool. There's a script that basically looks at all of the directories and all of the files and puts them in a big long list and says, I now know all of the file names, I know all the folder structure, and I know where everything is. And I want you to write me a little program that pops up a message on the screen. Glue these three things together, you've got the fundamentals of a ransomware tool. Find all the files, encrypt them, and display a message. That's literally the most basic definition of a ransomware tool. This threat actor went to 3 different LLMs, created each of these pieces in separation, which these are legitimate things that an IT person might want to actually do in the real world. These are things that we do all day, but you glue them together and you end up with a ransomware tool. It's pretty cool. All right? This is using the tools in an AI-generated world to create this for me. I don't know how to write code, but I can go to each of the tools and get them to give me the code that does this and glue it together later. That's kind of easy. It's a fun one. Now, it's not all bad. This new sort of genre of malware, if we will, it is rather immature just now. It's not quite as easy as I mentioned of go into it and write in a nice prompt that basically creates this bad tool that goes and does all this magical stuff. But it is evolving very, very rapidly. And as we see, Alex Delamont, one of our researchers, wrote this really interesting paper around prompt as code and embedded keys. And so if you do, very basic fundamental underneath LLMs is that they use keys for access. And the threat actors want to steal those keys because then they can use your version of the LLM to go and run stuff that you might not necessarily want them to. It's evolving fast. And so we're going to see a shift over time as this gets better. And as from a security point of view, every move that a threat actor makes, we need to either have thought about it first or we need to have a very fast response to be able to stop it in the future. And so whilst it is slow, it is definitely looking to use it. Now, this particular one is interesting because this was a piece of malware that actually made a call out to an LLM. And so think of this as a tool that ran, and then you've got a nefarious piece of software running on your computer, your laptop. It looks like a normal piece of code that's doing an application work. And behind the scenes, it's making calls out to an LLM model and being able to run those prompts. That means that they can siphon information off. That means that they can traverse all the information and upload it to the tool, which then allows them to revolve it and change it and so on. And so there's a couple of examples that came behind this. One of them is that the threat actor was tainting information. And so going back to the information wars, what's the biggest information threat that we have? We rely on the data. You go to a search engine, you go to a ChatGPT tool, you go to Copilot, you go to Gemini, and you ask it a question, and you get an answer back. Most of us will trust the answer we're given, right? Anyone go to any of your tool and ask a question and look at it and go, well, that's wrong. Most of us will trust inherently that the tools know what they're talking about. The challenge is that these LLMs still hallucinate, and so therefore we need to have an element of distrust anyway for them. And second of all, threat actors are trying to taint that information and give you the wrong answers. That then leads to you behaving differently than you normally would. You go ask the question, you get an answer back. Cool. It should be this way, but they pointed you this way instead. Not very interesting at one person. Now do it across 1 million people. You've suddenly got a movement out there of a group of people that believe that the right-hand side is correct when actually the left-hand side is correct. That is a very dangerous tool in the hands of the wrong people. And so as we see this malware evolve and we see information being tainted, it's the danger of not only protecting the information, but having that data changed along the way and replayed back to us in an incorrect way. That can lead to decision-making being incorrect. We take that information, we use it to make further decisions. More decisions are based on those decisions. Before you know it, you've got an entire ecosystem of people believing that green is actually blue and making decisions based on that. Put that in an information context, put that into a business context, put that into the stock market, all those kind of extrapolated problems. Then it becomes really, really interesting very quickly as to how this can spread and how you end up in a state where half of the world believes something that's not true. That's really interesting from a threat actor's point of view if they're trying to achieve a goal that is politically motivated, if that is financially motivated. Now let's take a look on the inside world. What happens inside the organization? I think, who works in a security operations center or works with people that sit at computers and look for things all day? Yeah, decent number of you. So Here's the challenge for security operations centers and people that work in security today. None of these things are going to be mind-blowing to you. There is nothing new on this slide, but let's actually just take time to reiterate it. One is false positives. You get a lot of telemetry in, you get a lot of information in. Is the action that Adam took on his laptop legit, or is it illegitimate? I don't know. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. You get a lot of false positives, you get a lot of signal. Is that actually bad, or did it just do something we didn't expect it to do? How do you find out, and sift through 100,000 different alerts and find the one that's actually a true positive? Visibility across fragmented tools. I mean, the security industry is a very large, populous, ecosystem. Look at all of us in the room today. We come from different locations, different vendors. You've got an event like this, which is the primordial soup of security, all coming together and talking about things, and it's really exciting. Then you work on a security team and go, cool, I've got users, I've got their identities, I've got the laptops and the desktops they use, I've got a cloud environment, I've got servers, I've got data, I've got SaaS apps. Let's just mention a few off the top. I'd like to see everything that's going on in all of this and find out where all the bad stuff is. Good luck with that. It's very, very challenging, it's very expensive, and it's difficult to bring them all together. And then detection and remediation is largely manual and slow. What you'll see when Chunga comes up to do the Kahoot at halfway, we're going to ask you some questions to see how mature you are in your thinking, to see how you do things today and how your organization is operating, at least to the degree that you understand it and know about it today. But finding the thing that's actually going wrong, finding the problem, the needle in the haystack, to use that proverbial kind of example, and then figuring out what is it, what do I need to do about it, let me figure out how to solve that problem. Am I going to deploy a script? Do I need a detection update? Do I need to do something to clean up the bad thing that I've found? That takes time. Now put that into the context of AI, which is this chat, and say, the AI tooling allows us to do things bigger, better, faster, and smarter. Cool. I just said that the threat actors are using AI against you. On the one hand, you've got threat actors with cloud platforms, incredible amount of computes, and these LLMs that are super smart. And on the other side, you've got Adam. Cool. I am not going to win that battle. The computers are bigger, better, faster than humans are. They do things better than we do. They do them faster than we do. And you need an army of people to combat that. Or you need tooling that can also think like that as well. And so you end up with this situation where, on the other side, attackers only need one foothold into the environment. So anyone who works in security, your job is to stop bad things from happening, right? If something goes wrong, you fix it, and your job is to say, what do we need to do to protect the people that work for us, to protect the infrastructure that they use, the applications they access, the devices that they use, the logins that they have, the identities they portray. Our job is to make sure that everything stays safe and secure. That's a really broad sort of surface area to try and protect. That's a lot, and that's not even all of it. That's just the things I can say off the top of my head. Threat actors need one shoe sort of foothold in. And so it's kind of, to use any kind of analogy you want, but they need one window to be open in your house, and you need to protect the whole house. That means that they can get in faster, and then they can live off the land and move across. The attack surface itself is still growing. I think we've seen, the cloud sort of started coming to the fore in about 2006 when AWS did EC2, and then we had Red Dog at Microsoft, which became Azure, and we started to build out these incredible cloud platforms, and here we are sort of 20 years later, and the cloud is A, real, B, stupidly large, and it just has an enormous attack surface. Anyone who's deployed something in the cloud knows how hard that is. Anybody that's run an on-prem infrastructure knows how hard that is. Threat actors need one little wiggle room to get in, and they'll have your environment. So that surface area is massive, and it's very hard to defend, and it takes a lot of both humans as well as time, config, policy to actually defend it. And so that tips the balance towards the threat actors, where take all that into account, and then add the sophistication of the attacks that we just talked about. So not only do they have all of the advantages of only needing one gap to get in, and you've got to defend everything, they also have all of the same tools that we do to use them against you. Machine versus machine. You don't want to be in a situation where you've got a machine versus a human. That is a mismatch that you will lose 99% of the time. You have to use machines against machines. We used to be in a space where humans were defending against humans. That is no longer the case. Things are moving at machine speed. They're moving at cloud speed. They're moving at AI speed. The only way to defend against that is not more humans. We don't have enough humans on the planet to beat the machines. That's reality. So we're in the situation where we've got a mismatch, we've got an imbalance, and all of the hard things are on the attacker's side, and us on the defender's side are trying to find ways to defend against that. That's the reality that we live in today. Let's talk about data. I'm kind of the old man. I was around when I got my first 1 megabyte drive kind of thing. I go back to sort of early Commodore 64, Amiga kind of days, and PCs weren't even a thing yet. In the 2000s, the data sort of explosion really began, and we started to move from megabytes to talk about gigabytes, and it was like, holy crap, like a gig, that is huge. It's like 1,024 megabytes, or 1,000 if you want to use Apple math. And so, you think, wow, that's a lot in the 2000s. Yeah, but hold my dinner. Let's talk about terabytes. Terabytes came along in sort of the early 2010s, and we was like, oh my gosh, I've got a terabyte. That is freaking huge. At this point in time, I'm walking around with a pocket thumb drive that's 2 terabytes in size, and it cost me $98 on Amazon. Kind of crazy. Then we look at where we are today, and we're talking petabytes. And a petabyte is 1,000 terabytes, and a terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes. And so you start to do the math on that, and we have a data problem. And we have a data problem in 3 different ways. You don't have enough data. No matter how much data you've got today, the answer is it's not enough. You don't know everything you need to do. So whilst the size of the data is overwhelming, you also don't have enough of it because you don't have all the information you require to actually be able to find things and so on. You have the wrong data. That's a problem too. You have some of the data you need, you don't need all of it. And then the third part of the problem is the threat actors want your data. And so you bring all that together and say, stupidly huge amounts of information, also not enough of it, and that's the problem space that both you need to be able to store this and rationalize over, you need to be able to store this and reason over it to find things, and the threat actors want to steal it, and you've got to protect it as well. The data problem gets bigger and bigger and harder every single day. And so this is just creating a rather challenging space where there's a cost problem to this, there's an access problem to this, there's a policy problem to this, and there's a capacity problem to this as well. And so all of this leads to this situation of a data crisis in security. AI is everywhere. Has anyone in the room not used an AI tool? Nope, no hands up. You've all tried it. Expected answer. It is everywhere. And not only is it everywhere, it's everywhere that you don't know about. I almost guarantee that all of you in this room, if you actually knew what was getting used inside your environments, you would be surprised. There will be AI tooling being used in your organizations that you don't know about. They will be unsanctioned. They will just be someone's gone to some app and they've swiped their credit card and they've installed it. They might have installed it on their laptop. They may be installed on their phone. There might be a line of business app that you don't know about. It's outside of IT's control. It's outside of security understanding. It's in all of these different areas in terms of management, engineering, and finance, and HR. Every single tool that I've used as an employee in an organization in the last year now has this little AI button that says, would you like me to help you with that? Guess where that's running? Not in your environment. Guess what happens when you click that button? It ships that information out to some LLM somewhere that runs over it, reasons over it, and gives you back an answer. Cool, doesn't sound like a security problem at all, right? Data leaving the organization you don't know about and being stored in locations you can't control. No one see a compliance problem with that? Anyone need to have to do any kind of geopolitical regulatory compliance is going to freak out about that, but that's the reality of where we have. Now, AI is really, really cool. It lets us do things we could never do before. I am not a developer. I've learned a couple of languages along in my time, but I couldn't create you an application if my life depended on it. I can go to a coding agent, though, and describe for it what I'd like to do, and it will give me back the code and compile it for me and run it. I find that terrifying, that someone with my level of incompetence when it comes to development can actually create an application and run it. That's actually really scary, because the cost of entry is basically zero. All I need is an AI code assistant, like a Copilot from Microsoft or a Cloud or a Grok or something along those lines, and say, create me an app that does some stuff. I want it to look like this one. Here's a screenshot of an app that I like the look of. Can you make it look like that? I want it to talk to these data sources, and I want it to run on my iPhone. Go. About 8 minutes later, I will have a compiled app that it will say, is this what you meant? That's terrifying, because from a development point of view, there's no controls, there's no testing, there's no rigor to that process. It's a wing and a prayer, shove it out the door, and away we go. There is a speed element to that, which is freaking awesome. From a business point of view, you're moving at the speed of AI. That's really, really cool from a business point of view. From a security and a compliance point of view, that is scary, because you don't know what's in there, you don't know where those code bases came from, you don't know what packages are actually installed on that. There's no bill of goods in terms of what's actually been deployed and running. There's no change control to that. And so both of these things are happening simultaneously. And so we end up with these things that happen where we're seeing sensitive data being leaked, we're seeing shadow AI running in there. Content toxicity is what I was talking about in terms of tainted data that's actually inaccurate. And some fairly large financial decisions have been made based on toxic data, where people made decisions about M&A, about investments, about money-oriented things, based on data that had been stolen and replayed back into the environment incorrectly. And so some pretty large transactions have happened because they thought that the data was correct and actually it was incorrect, and that benefited the threat actors. And then rogue agents is a fascinating one. Agentic AI is amazing. Let's take AI, which helps humans, build a bunch of AI agents, and let the agents talk to each other. Doesn't sound like Skynet at all, right? Like, anyone see Terminator in Terminator movies to get the analogy with Skynet? Yeah. Agentic AI is Skynet waiting to happen. It's basically the machines self-creating things and talking to each other and running things. Freaking amazing from a productivity point of view and getting things done. Kind of scary when you think about that's outside the control of any kind of oversight and any kind of human-oriented capacity there. But it's here. It's everywhere, across all of these things. It's great, but that's formulating the problem space, which is, how do you secure this? How do you make sure that everything that we're talking about here is what it says it is, that the data is accurate, that people are using it in the right way, and that sensitive information is not ending up in locations you don't want it to, and that the threat actors can't use this against you? That's the problem space we find ourselves in this side of the inflection point of AI. So at this point, I'm just going to pause. That was a lot of information, and it probably sounds a little scary at this point in time. Don't worry, we're going to tell you how we're going to fix it. It's all good. We've got some questions that Shankar's going to bring up and go through in the Kahoot. And the goal here is to see, based on all of that, we're interested to see and would love to get feedback and see, like, how are you thinking about a few things? The questions are designed so that you can rate yourself as to how you're doing things. We're going to bring up the results live from the room so we can kind of get a feel, and we'll take a look at it. And then if you've got questions and stuff along the way, please, we've got microphones roaming around, and we can do that.
Thank you. Can we just switch the monitor? I'll just see if my... Can you also... Yeah, okay. Can we just switch the monitor? I'll just see if my laptop's working. Okay, in the meanwhile, please just be ready with your cell phones. We'll do a quick poll on Kahoot. I want to make it interactive. I want to make it engaging. There'll be only 7 questions. And okay, once the screen comes up, I'll tell you. The idea of this poll is be truthful. Just because you see an AI option, don't press that. Be true to where you are in your journey, because it's a poll. The idea is to, assess where you are and then get it. So quick check. Okay, it always technical glitch. Are we all okay? Okay. Can we now try and see if you could switch?
Let's try this. Just make sure we see it.
Oh, it was there. It was working. It's
It's definitely there. Why don't we just mirror it?
working. Perfect. Okay, so I'm starting. Just go to kahoot.it. Everybody on your phones, please. Kahoot.it. And just use the pin 339263. 339263, kahoot.it. Let's see who's the first one to log in. Any browser. Okay, thank you. Rajesh, Satya, Beast, Satish, Bhumi, DP, Yogesh. I would at least, so we'll wait till the count is at least 80. Okay, thank you. I like the name Ethan, Shailu, Vivek. And as I said, it's a poll. There are no correct answers. The idea is to assess where you are. Be truthful to yourself. Any browser should do, guys. Anybody facing any issue? Can I help somebody? Wow, okay. So we are at 89. Anybody who's still not here? Okay, we're on 90. Sorry? Okay. Okay, we're at 95.
One or somebody can go there and help them, please.
All
Just,
right.
just have to scan the code. Just have to scan the code.
They can scan the code as well, yes.
Yes. I think it will be better for everybody to scan the code. Just zoom in, scan the code.
Otherwise, any browser, kahoot.it.
If we hit 100, we should start. Here we go.
Awesome. Okay. Do you want me to start? All good? Anybody still? Shaurya, what's the approximate room size? As in, how many people do we have in the?
Yeah, we want to have about 200 people, but right now, I think 100. I think what Adam says, 100 good to go.
100 good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just start. Okay, perfect. So I'm moving on to the first question. Can we have the music as well, if possible, please, Michael? Perfect. How do you investigate security alerts today? Okay, there are 4 options. You've got 20 seconds. Be truthful to yourself. Adam, what do you think? What's the pulse of the room?
I'm going to go with blue. No, it's yellow. Nicely done, people.
Awesome.
All right, so what we're looking at here, each of these is just a bar chart. So mix of automation and AI. What we see is most customers, this matches what we see from our side, being mostly manual with some level of automation. Definition of automation being a very fluid thing. It could be anything from a script to using some sort of AI tooling. Good to see 52% of you using a mix of automation and some AI assists. That's slightly above what I would expect it to see, so you're all doing good out there.
And don't forget, 14% actually are mostly automated or AI driven. So they are probably ahead of the curve. Cool. Okay. So let me move on to the next question. The second, well, how are your threat detection rules logic managed today?
I'm going to go that most people are going to be in blue on this one.
I would say yellow again. Let's see.
Nope.
Oh, awesome.
This one's slightly different because detection rules are more difficult to use green or yellow on this one. So this very much matches what I would expect to see around humans doing a lot of the detections and writing some level of automation to say, if I see this happen, do it every time. Moving to AI and ML assists is quite an advanced state at this point in time. 9% being green, I would be interested to see what you all are actually doing there. We're only just starting to move into that world, so you're either all very much on the cutting edge or you're overestimating what you're doing, one or the other.
Perfect. And do you think in future the blue might become green, Adam?
I think we're in a shift from blue to green on this one, like moving from humans needing to figure things out to sort of using AI and automation to read that stuff and self-create detections. We're very much in the shift from green to yellow on this one at the moment.
Okay, next one, folks. The third question, there are only 6. What best describes your IR process today, incident response process today? Okay, what's your take, Adam?
I'm halfway between blue and yellow on this one. I suspect blue will be the biggest, yeah. Yeah, this makes complete sense. Incident response is a very manually human-driven response today. Incident response meaning something bad has happened and someone needs to do something. At this point in time, that's mostly a human-driven behavior. It requires a human to go log in, figure out what's going on, and then automate it. So your laptop or them?
Wow, okay. Can you check, folks, is there... The cable's perfect.
Excuse the technical difficulties?
Yep. Do you want me to take it out and plug it in again? Do you want to just remove it in?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I did that. I just did that. Okay. Can you try switching it? Okay, otherwise I think I can do it from my laptop. The Kahoot is ready, is that?
We can carry on. Everyone's got all the questions anyway, so like we can just carry on from the laptop here. Oh, there it's back.
Is everybody logged in?
Yep.
Okay, I'm moving on to the next question.
We're good. We're back.
Okay, question number 4. How is the threat hunting performed in your SOC today?
I'm going to go yellow on this one. This is an area where automation and AI assist is fairly common. Oh, even. Nice.
41-39. Oh, so
Yeah.
still.
You're all on a journey, for sure. I thought there might be a little more yellow on this one, but also understandable that you're, that's a big shift for people to move from manual to assisted AI.
Perfect. Do you want me to move on, Adam?
Yeah.
There are still 39% on the manual searches with some automation. Perfect. Okay, question number 5. How does your SOC handle lower risk security actions?
I'm going to be confident on this one. I'm going to go
With yellow?
yellow and green. Blue. I am surprised. Low risk actions usually refer to things that can be highly automated. So that's sort of very common things like identity kind of oriented things or standard endpoint known issues. So that one surprised me.
Cool. And the last one. What is the main role of your SOC analyst today?
evenly split. This really speaks to me that security being a very varied kind of environment, it's unsurprising this one is fairly split because it's highly dependent on the environment. Highly dependent on the journey that you're on. I'm guessing we've got a wide range of people from partners, from vendors, from different organizational sizes, disciplines, and so on. And so you're all on a journey from one place to another. There's also in this one that a lot of the other ones are very much a maturity kind of a model where you want to get towards green. This one, the answer is it depends. There are reasons why you would continue to have all investigations and decision making done by a SOC analyst. There's nothing wrong with that answer in this one. There are reasons why you would be in each of this bucket. So an even split is unsurprising.
Perfect. Thank you. Folks, now I'll hand it over to Arvind. You would have seen a small little booklet with you. So he'll just explain you what the use of that. Remember, we have a experience center, which is just opposite the registration. So Sentinel booth is where you could meet us, you could discuss further. But Arvind, over to you.
Thank you, Shankar. First of all, warm welcome to all of you here. That was a really insightful survey. A lot of good insights on what you guys are doing in the field, right? Also think some of the conversations we've had with Adam and Shankar would have sparked some ideas, how AI is evolving, how the threat landscape's changing, and what tools are available, right? Now, what we wanted to do was leave you with something that you can take back. And the idea of this is, you'll see everyone should see this on their tables or on their chairs. This is a self-assessment booklet that you can carry on. There are a few questions in here that will help you assess the SOC maturity and your journey on the path of autonomous security, right? So take a look at it, give us your honest opinion. We're not taking these back, so all the answers that you put in is just for you to take back and look at, review it. At the end of the book, you'll see a path towards an autonomous SOC journey and where you are on that path, right? All you need to do is, on the questions, put the number that you think is mostly closely matched to your situation right now, and sum it all up at the end, and you'll get a score, right? With that, I think what we're going to do is at the end, we have a Google form survey, so once you finish this, take our survey and let us know what you think, okay? With that, I'd like to invite Shankar back on stage.
Thank you, Arvind. So now I think what we'll do is we have Adam for a quick wrap-up, and post Adam, we'll invite Diva, who's the AVP Managing Director, to just give you a closing summary. So Adam, back to you. Can we have the presentation back, please? There are just some more slides.
Yep, there we go. Awesome. Thank you, team. Thanks for participating there, people. So what we're really doing with the numbers here is trying to establish some way to measure the journey that we're all on to get to a better AI-driven security model. There is no wrong place to be on the slide. It's really about where are you at, and being honest with yourselves and your teams when you go back to your companies as to what are you doing today. How could you adapt and adopt different technologies to be better and be able to combat some of these threats? And so there are sort of 5 levels to the model that we've mapped out. We've come from levels 0 and 1, deliberately put them up at the start. This is where we've been on the journey for many, many years. SIM's been around for a long time, SOAR's been around for a long time. We've been through the XDR phase, we're in the platform phase. Doing things manually, doing things based on rules is basically where we are today. If you use any current security tool, you're at least at level 1, because that's literally what the tools do. You can't not be at level 1 at this point in time if you're using some element of a security tool. Where we've been for the last 2, give or take, years is moving towards being AI assisted. And so this is where we've got algorithms running. It might be machine learning, even ahead of generative AI, basically using AI to sift through that huge amount of data and surface up insights, and to be able to automate at scale. Where we want to move towards is into the autonomous kind of phase. And this is where we get to levels 3 and 4. If you're using a modern generative AI platform, i.e. a security platform that has some level of an AI aspect to it, you can ask it plain language queries, it will return results and so on. You're basically starting to head into level 3. And this is where we're starting to use the AI to actually assess the information, to reason over it, to make it so that you come into work in the morning, and rather than you figuring out what you're going to do, it's going to start telling you where you should spend your time and provide those results to you and take care of the very basic things that are happening. In the future, we want to get to this high autonomy kind of phase. And this is where we move from generative AI to agentic AI. This is where we move from being human-driven, where someone has to sit in front of a screen and type things and ask the machine to do things. This is where the agents start to think a little bit. Thinks is a very grandiose term for it, but the agents start to reason for themselves. They start to say, I know what I need to look at, I know all the parts that I need to work with, and they start to look for things and find things and take care of all of that, simple kind of stuff, and allow humans to be freed up to spend time on things that we're actually good at. The machines can take care of lots of things for us. Agents can take care of lots and lots of repetitive tasks. What's something humans are not very good at? Repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again. We get bored, we get tired, we need coffee, we need to go to sleep, we need to focus, we need time off. Machines are really good at doing the same thing over and over and over again and never getting bored because they never shut down, right? Machines are good at that. What are machines not good at? Logical and rational thought. Being able to bring context into the environment that a machine doesn't have. A very easy example of this is if you think about an incident that happens and something goes badly, what do the machines not know? They don't know what the human did. They have no concept. Outside of the data that they have, the agents that we have in the platform don't know what humans did. They don't know that Adam walked up to a machine and swiped his card and allowed 2 people to walk through the gate with me. They don't know these things. Even if you have a video feed, they may or may not be able to detect that. There are lots of things that humans can do that the machines can't do, at least at this point in time. And so the whole goal here is to say, how can we use AI? How can we use autonomy? How can we use these amazing tools to take care of these 60 to 70% of things that we're actually not good at? And allow us to take the time to spend on those higher reasoning efforts with the capacity that we have. Because we simply don't have enough humans on the planet and enough capacity and resource and funding to have all of the humans that we need in any kind of SOC, any kind of security team. So if this can take care of 60%, that means the capacity we've got can be sent on the top 40% instead of the entire 100. That is a great boon. So let's move towards wrapping this up. So let's talk about what we're going to do. The title of this session is really moving into an AI world. And AI is a catalyst for change. It's already changed the world in ways that are measurably different. Those tools that we talked about, the co-pilots, the Geminis, it is incredible to see the productivity gains that we've had as humans. I know I use the tools on a daily basis to take care of things that I'm not good at. I open up, we use Gemini at work, and so I open up a notebook and I throw lots of big, long PDFs that I could never be bothered reading and say, summarize this for me, and tease out the themes and tease out the bullet points and take huge amounts of information and distill it down to 3 bullet points that Adam's brain can actually process and do something with. That also opens up this problem space that we've talked about how do we protect those kind of environments. And so something that I'd like to put into your vocabulary, something I'd like to pose to you all as a model to think about this, is there's 2 different sides to this story. On the first side, we've got AI for security. This is about leveraging AI in our security tools to make them better, about helping our security operations teams do things more effectively. On the other side, we have to secure the AI itself. We need to secure the infrastructure it runs on. We need to secure the prompts that people are opening in their browsers and on their phones and various other devices. We need to protect the information that we're putting into those machines. And so using AI and security and securing the AI are 2 sides of the same coin. And so if we can do both of these things, the industry as a whole is going to move to a much more effective model. So here's sort of 4 things that, how do we solve, this is basically the slide, this is how we're going to solve this problem that I've posed for you today and scared you with like all the bad things that are going on. Here's how we're going to fix it. We need to protect the people. And so this is having, protecting employees. So think about you in your day job. You open up your laptop in the morning, you're opening your inbox, no matter what platform it's on. There's buttons that summarize the 300 emails that came in overnight. You've got Slack messages and WhatsApp messages and all those kinds of things. Something's got a reason over all that, because you ain't going to read all those emails. You're not going to read all of those things, right? Tell me the things that I need to focus on today. I go to a prompt and I type things. What's going to stop me putting the wrong information in? We have to protect ourselves from the AI tooling. And so we need to protect the employees and the tools that they use. We need to protect the developers and people like me who are technologically proficient enough to build an app, but not good enough to write the code well. That's me in the top right-hand corner. Like, I need to protect from myself. How do I build apps? How do I ask the right prompts? How do I vibe code, whatever language you want to use? We need to protect the generation of that code so that it becomes manageable, change-controlled, verified. We know what the bill of goods is. We know what packages are inside of it. And we try and prevent threat actors from using this against ourselves. We need to protect your AI apps yourself. Most large enterprises, SaaS startups are all building AI into the applications to make them better. I think every HR app that I've seen, every sales tool that I've seen, every productivity suite that I've used, all have AI embedded in them. That's just doing it at scale. But you all are building these AI capabilities into your homegrown applications as well, your line of business applications, the thing that you build to run your business specifically on, you're going to connect to them and use them too. We need to make sure that internally there's an awareness about the use of the tools and to do so securely. And then we need to protect agentic AI. MCP is basically, for those that don't know, is basically the way that AI systems talk to each other. And so protecting MCP and having MCP gateways and MCP proxies and looking at the code that's flying around and looking at the message that it flows around, this is an observability problem. We need to make sure that when the agents are talking to each other, that they're doing so in ways that we understand, that they're doing so in ways that are safe and secure, and they're doing it not just at execution, but also analyzing that as well. And so if we can do these 4 things, that securing of AI or security for AI, that's where we can make sure that we are using AI at this inflection point and doing so safely and securely. We also need to evolve. And we need to move from where we've been to where we need to be. Over the last, 30-odd years, we've moved from the very basic email and PC-based viruses, the Melissas, the I love yous, all those kinds of things, very script kiddie, very garage kind of oriented. We've moved to very sophisticated threats like ransomware, like malicious apps that are hiding in the land, that are running inside processes that we can't track. We've moved from just needing signatures in an antivirus engine, which at this point in time simply don't work, to we're currently sitting in a world where people are driving the technology. We're using cloud-based monitoring, yes, we've brought people to it, we're reactive and so on. We need to move to the tech assisting us. And so on this journey on the way through, moving from old stuff basically that doesn't work at this point in time to where we are today, to where we need to go into an agentic AI future. This is where when we get to the right-hand side, that's where we're safely using AI, we're protecting AI, and it's actually that amazing opportunity that we all want it to be, but done so in a way that is safe and secure and not going to leave us in a world where the threat actors have won, and we certainly don't want to end up there. We're also going to see the shift from generative AI to agentic AI. And a simple way that I like to think about this, because I'm a very simple human here, generative AI helps me do my job. Thank you very much. It helps me be productive. I can ask it questions. It'll give me results. It can assimilate information and make it simple for me to understand. Agentic AI is about doing the work for us. And so when we move to that, we move to this model that we've talked about where the machines are talking to each other, and that's great. But as we do that shift, we need to make sure that we always understand what's been done, that we put the constraints in place, that we test those boundaries, and we make sure that we're not allowing the machines to hallucinate and to come up with new things and then be able to extrapolate that out without us knowing about it. That's not easy. That means we need to have tooling that understands that. That means that we need to have tooling that understands one is about helping us do our jobs productively, and one is about getting things done and helping the machines do it. And so we come back to our scale again, and we end up in a slightly different world that's far more balanced. We end up with autonomous security that's actually going to help us do our jobs and do it better and faster. We've got intelligent alerts, not an overwhelming deluge of signal and telemetry that we have no idea what to do with, and it's just screeds and screeds and screeds of logs and data. We turn that into actionable insights, and we turn it into intelligence we can actually use. We do end up with better working relationships. We haven't talked about that much today, but there is a human-to-human element of this as well. A very easy example for anyone that's worked in a SOC is if you're working on an incident, at some point in time, someone's going to need to send an email to executives or an email to people telling them what happened. At the moment, a human writes that. Guess what we're not good at? Summarizing large amounts of information into readable format. The tools can help us do that. And so sharing of common context, sharing of common information, summarizing it in a way that makes sense at the click of a button, that's awesome. It takes me half an hour to summarize information into an email, or I click a button and it does it for me. Know which one I'm doing. And then cutting through the complexity with agentic AI and delivering security as a heartbeat. We need security to be inherent in everything we do. We're all here in this room today, we're at this conference today because we care about security, we work in the industry. This is ultimately a very philanthropic kind of environment where we all want to be the people that are at the coalface, stopping the bad things from happening, being the ones that save the day, being the ones that clean up afterwards, being the protectors of the realm. I'm going to bet all of you came into cybersecurity as a career at some point in time because you desired to make the world a better place. You desired to do something bigger and better than yourself. This is going to help us achieve that in an incredible way. So with that, thank you. I'm going to hand over to Diwa to come on up. I hope you found that interesting, and we will be at the booth and hanging out and happy to chat to you.
Thank you. Adam, thank you so much, I'm told. We'll just wrap it up with a few words from AVP and Marketing Managing Director at Sentinel One. Please call upon stage Diwakar Dayal, please. Thank you so much. Round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Diwakar,
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. I come from a place called Bangalore, where we have this very popular ice cream cake called Death by Chocolate. Has anybody tasted or heard of that? All right, this was just death by AI. Right? Because usually after that cake, you don't want to have chocolate for a bit, or for at least for a couple of weeks. So, hey, first of all, thank you for being so patient and hearing us out. Is my audio all right at the back? Can you hear me all right? Right. So we heard a lot of, AI, and I think I don't have to tell anything about it anymore. But the reality is, almost 14 years back, when this company was imagined back in Israel, this concept of using machine learning and automation to stop attacks and protect endpoint was completely laughed upon. Like, people did not believe that was true, right? It took us almost 8-9 years as a company to land the concept that you don't need the traditional cloud and crowd and data files and whatnot to solve the endpoint problem. Today, everybody else is following that same path. Yeah. 6-7 years back, we took that same lens and applied it to cloud, because that's where typically the hackers are going after the endpoint, and then cloud, and that worked like magic. The last 2 years alone, we've taken the same template of AI and applied it on the biggest problem in cybersecurity today, which is how do you manage SOC? And the heart of the SOC is a SIM. And that's why we've kind of reimagined how SIM needs to really engage within a SOC and how it performs. To me, somebody who's been in cybersecurity for almost now close to 30 years and having seen different waves and layers of tech back from 95 until 2025, one thing is very clear, that if you're not reimagining what you already are doing in terms of protecting yourselves against adversaries using a template like this, I think take that as one biggest takeaway, that you should wake up and smell the coffee in terms of how you are automating everything that you're doing, right from your endpoint to the cloud to your SOC. I think that's really the crux of the message. So thank you, Adam. I think it's very well put in terms of different use cases. So we are here, right? Sentinel-1 is going to be here for the next couple of days in the event, and I hope everybody a very good event for the next 2 days. Make sure that listen to all the solution providers out there. It's a very fast-moving world. I still feel like a student here in cyber, despite so many decades, because there is so much to learn. There's so much is changing so fast. And we hope that we can be part of this journey with you as customers and partners. And we welcome any questions, any feedback, anything that you want to ask. Shankar, you're here, but yeah, I can already see a hand. But with that, I'll maybe hand off the mic to Shankar and the team here. But yes, you can shoot your question, and maybe you want to give a mic there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Can we have the mic on, please, for the ladies and gentlemen? If we can have all 4 of you on stage, that would be great. I think it can be directed to all of you. Arvind, Devakar, Shankar, Adam is already here. That will be great. Here we are. I think we can have this mic as well.
Okay, we can hear you, sir. Sorry, we can't hear.
Microphone problems. Here's one that works.
Hello.
Hey, there we go.
No. Okay, so now hello. Okay, so my question is now everyone talking about the AI, like how we are automate tasks on SOC, SecOps model and all. So my question is like how we measure the accuracy with traditional SIEM or with the agentic AI, or if we implemented AI solution with the SIEM solution. So how we calculate the accuracy when we say KPI matrix when to traditional SOC to with the AI SOC?
How do we?
You can take this.
So your question was essentially how are we going to?
How we can calculate the accuracy?
I got the question. Thanks.
Yeah.
This is Deva here. Hey, so the answer is very simple. In cybersecurity, the answer is protection and not protection, right? So in the EDR, in the endpoint world, it's basically you stopping a ransomware or a breach and not stopping one, right? Of course, there are these fancy jargons like MTTR, MTTDE, but eventually it's about protection, not protection. It is exactly the same outcome in SIM as well. It's your ability to really correlate at a speed that is unprecedented, but at a speed that is faster than the attackers. And if you're able to do that, then you are able to defend much better. So, I know that a lot of us have used a lot of templates in terms of MITRE and what else. Today we've come to a reality that the real world is faster than frameworks, right? And some of you are new to cyber will be looking at all these different frameworks. I can tell you back from my CSSP days in 2000, a lot of things have changed pretty fast. And we are at a stage where the measurement is really the breach versus not. And of course, you have different templates that you want to use, but that's as simple as that. Thank you. Next question.
Hey, thank you for an amazing presentation. I heard the previous speaker and I heard you also talking about this. I heard multiple people talking about this. When it comes to trade-offs between detection accuracy and false positives, the speaker before you, they mentioned that they reduce the false positives to 90%, and while also they increase their response time, which is amazing. I think the opposite of this generally happens. So what would you say if I ask you what are the trade-offs between this detection accuracy and false positives? Because of the volume that you will be getting, the number of false positives will be increasing. And how do you manage to like keep the accuracy enough?
See, the purpose of any security team and security platform is to find the needle in the haystack. Right? It's as simple as you go to the airport. Why is everybody, all of us, getting scanned 5 times? Ideally, you should be able to isolate 25 people and just focus on them. It's because we are not able to understand, who's real and who's not. And I think that's really the outcome of every platform. Just like I said in the previous answer, you have examples of frameworks like MITRE and whatnot, which helps you arrive at that. But the reality is everybody's environment is different. So you may have different environment in terms of on-prem, hybrid, and cloud. The plainest test of that really is the noise versus signal, right? And if you're wasting too much time on noise, you're already in the wrong track. You're on the wrong platform. Yeah, to me, that's as simple as that. Anything you want to add, Adam? Or
What was the question? I couldn't hear.
you can skip it if it's.
Oh, yeah. I think it comes down to, for me, this is a volume game. Like, if you look at the sheer amount of information that flows in, you've got your EDRs, you've got your identities, you've got your cloud platforms. Even those 3 alone are going to overwhelm any number of humans sitting inside a SOC. There's just too much information. And so if you're not using some level of AI, some level of ML, some level of automation, all that information flows into your SIM, your data lake, whatever it might actually be sitting in. Cool. You're going to sit there and start to manually go, gee, I wonder if I can find something bad, right? You're only as good as your hunting query. You're only as good as the humans, and you don't have enough of them. Then you have a machine that just can operate at a level that a human brain simply can't and look for things and reason over things at incredible scale. And so for me, this is purely a volume game. Like, if you need to find 3 needles in 17 haystacks, there's no way a human's going to find them faster than the tooling that is there. And so if you've got tooling that deeply understands all of the telemetry coming in and all of it, for me, it's a pure volume game that you've got a better chance of stopping the breaches with than you do without. Net result, that makes it worthwhile.
Got it. Next question, please.
Thank you.
Morning. Sir, my question is sir has pointed out when the level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the manual rule-based AI partial and partial autonomy and how autonomy. So my question is that when we are using a generative AI, so in practical world, how we can illustrate it as sir has told na, level 0 is the manual and level 1 is the rule-based and level 2 is the AI assisted and level 3 is the partial autonomy. As a AI, so how AI works in a real show?
So what's the last line? Sorry, what is the?
As the previous slide, sir has pointed.
We got the question. Just finish the last line you asked. What was the last line?
My question on generative AI.
Yeah.
So my
what
question,
phase does it enter is what you're saying.
Yes, in all the phases,
Yeah.
how the generative AI works.
Generative AI?
With illustrations.
Okay, so the short answer.
I just want to know the live implications.
Of course, in the interest of time, the shortest answer is Gen AI comes in at stage 0 itself. There are already certain things you're doing where you're looking at tons of information, processing it. The question is, how do you streamline that as you go up the value chain? So, and also remember, this 0 and 1 and 2, these are not cemented
My
walls.
question from that, sir.
Fair enough. I'm just trying to give you a simple, concise answer. These are not cemented walls, remember. It's a journey. So you may be between 0 and 1, 1 and 2.
The question was where it is in the model or how it's been used today.
There's never, like a situation where there's no AI there. You want to add anything to that, Adam?
Yeah, I think your question was about where generative AI would sit in the model. Yeah, I think generative AI is in the 3rd column, which is where we are today. And so what that looks like tangibly is you log into your console and you've got a chatbot style thing, and that's underplaying it. But there is a console where you can type a question and ask it to do things, and it will automate the results and give it to you in ways that a human can assimilate. For example, do I have this particular issue in my environment? It's not going to give you screeds and screeds and screeds of information. It's going to summarize it in a way that you can understand. That's where we are today. The move to agentic is what comes tomorrow. And so in terms of which column of like 0 to 4 are we in, generative AI is in column 3.
Thank you. I hope it answered. Next question.
Thank you, sir.
We can have only
last
one
question.
more question.
One last question, we'll
lady.
wrap it up. But we're here, by the way, so you can talk to us post this as well.
We can entertain Devakar. We can only have one more
Yeah, sure.
from the ladies. Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for the enlightening session. And any one of you can answer this, though it is more in regards with the talk that Adam said. So my question is, like as Adam mentioned, the entities that are controlling information, they have the highest leverage, right? And even like when we talk about AI agents and so on, these collect a lot of data, but yet still the data is in crisis, as you mentioned. I just wanted to know your views, like how could we secure this data while it is being collected in such high quantity, yet it is still in crisis. I am not much experienced, but since you guys are highly experienced people, I would like to know the views.
I didn't get your question. Unless it was about how do you collect data in the agentic world. Is that what you asked?
I'll repeat it. So basically, when you are collecting, let's say there are so many AI agents, they are collecting so much of data. But also Adam mentioned that the data is still in crisis, and it is also mentioned in numbers. So what do you think, how can we secure it while it is in crisis, yet it is being collected in such high quantity?
So we're collecting tons of data
Yeah.
and understand that that itself is a crisis situation. So how do you overcome? And I think the answer isn't the same concept of needle in the haystack, but was there anything else you want to add? It's basically,
That's it.
at some point, it's the machines doing this job. I think that's the message that we're trying to give, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get to a world where we have less data. Like, we're only going to have more data, and we're going to need to retain it for longer. That creates a storage problem in terms of where does the data go. That also creates a problem of how do you reason over that at scale. And so we can't reduce the amount of data. I think we're only going to get worse, and we're going to move from petabytes to exabytes and so on. That's why this becomes even more important, because we've got a human capacity problem today, and then we 1,000x it when we move from a petabyte to an exabyte. Yep, that problem's not going to go away. And so we can't resolve that easily. That's why the machine, the agents are so important, is that if we start today, we'll have an answer for tomorrow. If we wait for tomorrow, we're again n-1 behind the machines again.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, and it's a real-world use case in India, right?
Sure.
So we are the only few platforms that also has an on-prem AI model platform, right? And so to your exact question, when we do a lot of stuff on the agent, which is right, on the endpoint, but a lot of that thinking part as well goes into the cloud. But sometimes, in India, because of certain regulations and otherwise, people want to do even the thinking part and analysis part to your question, tons of data on-prem. And we've attempted that as a product and, shared that with a couple of our Indian customers. The amount of hardware that they require to just process that is like 100x the cost of the application they're trying to support. So sometimes it's also, foolhardy because after a certain threshold, that quantity is not going to make sense economically, right? And I'm sure that's what most people as leadership in security will understand, that you can't have the lock more expensive than the asset, right? So that's the trade-off you have as well with tons of data, but that's about it. Thanks a lot of interesting questions, and I hope we were able to touch a few things. Thank you very much.
With that, we would love to thank you, Adam, Shankar, Arvind, Devakar, for their invaluable insights and on evolving the landscape on AI-powered threats. If I can please, gentlemen, please, if you can please come back, we'll just felicitate on behalf of DSCI and AISS 2025. Can we please have Adam Hall on stage first, please? Round of applause, please. If we can have the picture, please. Can we have the picture, please? Can we have Arvind?